Welcome to the Relatable Oklahoma Realtors podcast, the show that sets out to demystify the world of real estate. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, investor, or a realtor with years of experience, this is where real estate is discussed and explained. Join me now for our hosts, Stacy and Burl Stricker.
Well, it is picking up, yes. We have low inventory, like what we've heard for years.
Yep. Well, we need that for a while, don't we?
We need what?
We need low inventory.
Not like this. We've never had to struggle before, like what everybody else has talked about. What about you guys?
I mean, inventory levels are lower than last year, even right now. What I see, it's keeping prices stable. The people that are wanting to jump in the game now and list their properties, whether, it be a home or recreational land, they're starting to get, they're still getting top dollar compared to if there was a ton of properties on the market and saturate the market. There's still buyer demand is, especially on something with, 5 to 10 acres and a house out in the country. A lot of people can afford that. Up here, anyways, what we're seeing 35 to 40 acres in a house is probably what everybody wants. And then our in-town stuff, the urban stuff is really hotter than heck. I mean, bidding wars and people still not looking at properties.
Really?
And I mean, I just had one 2 weeks ago. Buyer from Colorado didn't even look at it, just looked at my Matterport, looked at my video and all the pictures and made their decision on that.
That's awesome. Well, we just kind of jumped right in without introducing you. So welcome to
We're recording. So.
We're recording. This is Travis Omley. Tell us, what community are you in? You're in Minnesota.
We're our home base is in Wisconsin. Then we're in Minnesota, Iowa, Michigan, and Kansas.
And which one's the newest? Is Kansas the newest?
Michigan. Yeah.
Yes. And what do you primarily do? Land, residential?
Answer my phone all the time. No.
Yeah. So, and you've been at top office multiple times with United Country. How long have you been with United Country?
Joined United Country November 1st of 2010.
Wow.
And I
was with United Country before you. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How about that? Now, did you start in this industry? Or your second generation, right?
So my father started our auction company in 1975.
Okay.
So that's been around longer than I've been alive. I helped throughout all the years in college and things like that, and got out of college and was going to pursue a career in law enforcement, and decided when I got out of college that I wanted to get into sales. And so I started selling cars, classic cars, and traveling across the United States selling classic cars. And then when I wanted to start a family, I actually had to be home at, night, not gone for weeks at a time. So started selling at a local dealership and helping my dad out on the weekends and evenings with his auction company, and saw a huge opportunity with all the properties that he was doing auctions for, the personal property. Well, they had a home to sell or they had a farm to sell. And I said, why aren't we doing that? And he's like, well, they give us the leads for the personal property. So, we just got to keep them getting the leads in. I said, they need to get rid of the stuff. Those leads will still come in, but we got to, jump on the houses and the land and things like that and pick up that revenue stream too. So in 2004, we embarked the journey of adding real estate to it. and going through, independent. Then I was with Remax for a while and didn't really have the tools that we needed for our, ruralness and our auction, and ran into Sean Terrell and Bill Eberhardt, actually, who is one of our brokers in Kansas now. He said, we gotta go to this dinner tonight. It was, I think it was the August or September United Power. And date this back, Carmen wasn't working for United Country yet. She was the host at the hotel that they used to have it at. And
really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's funny.
And met Mike and Dan and Sean and talked to them, and they sent a rep up here immediately after that. And next thing you know, I'm down at the home office in October, getting everything launched and ready to go. And we started November 1st. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah. So it's been
live auctions.
Well, it's funny you say that, bro, because we made our living on live auctions, and all these years, and the people that even want live auctions now, once we go, through everything at the end of the conversation, they're automatically switched back to online auctions. So it's the sellers really kind of pushing more of the online than anything. Especially on the properties we have listed, there's less kind of intrusion on the property that people like. It's all segmented and scheduled when people come to look at the stuff. When people come to pick the stuff up, you're having a live auction. People are walking around the yard and walking in the woods, going barns they're not supposed to, and people are starting to like not having that exposure and people at their property. It's weird because back in the day, you wanted that big crowd there, but now the crowd's on the internet. So,
yeah, I'm kind of, despite what we've been told, like when you go to auctioneer school, they try to convince you that it's not dying, but it kind of is, because like when we did our auction, we did, a live one, it was very clear when you talk to people who are in the business that it needs to all be online and that not do that. And really we lost on it, but it was good experience and exposure. But I just don't see, it's just not what it used to be. I think something like cattle and cars maybe, and I think there may be some farm stuff that, like when you have neighbors competing or something, but ultimately it just doesn't seem like it's where it's going anymore.
And this was
in online, a lot of our real estate auctions we still do live.
Yeah.
Like one property,
or is it like
we're busting them up into multi. If they're a multi-parcel, we do them live. If they're one property, we do them online only.
Yeah.
Some machinery we'll do simulcast. But we would never do a machinery auction live only. No. It would be online only or simulcast.
So how often do you do those? Do you have them scheduled like once a month, once a quarter?
Mm-hmm. Just kind of farm liquidations mostly. We have a sale close every Thursday. Of just like this week, we golf course got all new equipment, so we're liquidating all their old stuff. And then last week it was building materials, so all brand new building materials, cabinets, doors, flooring, then household thrown in. And then the week after that we have an property that we sold that had UTVs and equipment, and so that's in our yard, and that'll all be done online. So you can do a lot more auctions and stay ahead of the game with online than live, especially now that we have a building and a facility in a fenced in area to take everything to.
Right.
Which help.
Yeah, that's what we've been talking about.
Mhm.
We're new to this. And by the way, Travis has let me pick his brain for years. He one time did not answer my phone call, and
I never will
never not
answer the call again.
So we appreciate you always willing to help. And I think that's what's great about United Country is everybody has been so gracious to help. And really, we've seen a big difference with the auction side where, in traditional real estate, you don't really see other offices, like other real estate offices that aren't United Country, so willing to help. Well, we met other local auctioneers and they were like, oh my gosh, you're going to do great. And then we had our first auction. And then a guy from our auction, from auctioneer school lived, what was he, 3 hours away? Him and his wife drove up and helped.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I couldn't believe it. I was like, nobody from real estate school would do that.
When we do auctions out of state, we're short of staff. You make a couple of phone calls and you'll have it staffed for the day. I went to CAI here. I think I graduated in 2011 from that. And still to this day, referrals back and forth and help with other auctioneers that I graduated with. I've been in 9 different states selling for people that have been in CAI with me and contracted me to come and help them.
It's a great community.
How many agents do you have in your organization?
Oh, Burl, I'm gonna just kind of. We're mid-30s right now with I think 12 in the pipeline that are going through our onboarding right now. So
wow, that's amazing.
So it'll be mid to upper 40s here in the next month or two.
So when you're dealing with like possibly a new agent, like what's your advice to somebody? We have several new agents that have listened to our podcast and they're interested in the business and they're trying to get started. What advice do you have for like a new agent just coming on board?
Well, you kind of got to give them the doom and gloom end of real estate because all they hear is, and it's not doom and gloom. It's what they see and their perception of real estate is they jump in and everything's great and I'll make all this money right out of the gate and I don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
And that's not everybody. I mean, a lot of people get it, but I just tell them you'll get out of it what you put in. And the first 6 months is going to be financially tough for you because you have more going out with marketing yourself and, joining MLSs and realtor dues and just building up your marketing. That first 6 months is very crucial that they stay on top of things, stay engaged, touch their sphere of influence constantly and develop that elevator pitch and touch as many people as they can every day. And we do ride-alongs. We kind of set them up with a mentor buddy that's either the broker in that state or somebody that brought them on just to kind of encourage them and keep them going. So I always say they're not alone is kind of the biggest thing, Burl, is they have a huge staff behind them. They have excellent brokers that have years of experience. We have 5 auctioneers or 6 auctioneers on staff. So there's never a question that we can't find the answer to. They just have to ask them. So
yeah, that's good. I think that's really good advice, especially like you get into it or you're going to get out of it what you put into it. And that's what I always tell people, like, what I love about it is you're not capped on a salary. You can make as much as you want, but you're going to have to work for it.
Yeah, and getting one of the biggest things I tell them, once you get your first check, don't think it's going to keep on coming easy after that. It's that pipeline is consistently has to be full, and because you got a deal done doesn't mean you can go on vacation. You got to keep on trucking. You're always on call per se, and you're always selling yourself, whether you're at a school function, you're at, just on the golf course or wherever you're at. You're always selling yourself because people are asking you, how's the market? What do you think my house is worth? What do you think my property's worth? If I got, $1 for every time I got that in a day, I could pay for lunch every day and be okay.
That is so true. But you want to be known as the expert. So
absolutely.
Yeah, it's good to ask that.
And a lot of people say, don't give that free advice out. It might not be free advice. You're cultivating potentially a new client by giving them some advice. And if the other agent doesn't give them any advice, well, they're going to go with the person that gave them the advice.
Yeah.
Because I was curious about, you talked about this at convention, and I'm curious about the hunting properties aspect.
Yeah.
And first of all, if you don't mind, kind of give a summary of kind of that part of the business and what's going on in that area.
Yeah. So in 2012, the brainchild of UC Hunting Properties kind of started. We used it just internally. Got a lot of traction out of it on marketing hunting properties and competing with some of our competitors in that space and being more relevant. United Country has a great marketing plan, as we all know. But in some spaces of real estate, they're very niche, and you really have to target with a rifle approach those clients. You can't just group them in. And the hunting industry is a very small but big kind of community. And everybody kind of beats at their own drum, and but they want to know from professionals and people that live and breathe it. So when I brought that to the forefront and started marketing it, we were getting great traction. We were, starting to get some buzz about it. Then a couple people in United Country, at the time, I think we had 4 beta offices that we were running in their area and keeping track of the Google Analytics and their placement on Google with certain searches. And it was raising faster in those searches than our office websites.
Wow.
So, then in 14 into 15, we launched it to the United Country offices to partake and join in on this for a small fee to kind of get the community built up. And that took off again, and we just continued to keep the website relevant. We're in the process of completely rebuilding it, and that is a time, every time Mike and Dave and everybody talks about websites and how extravagant they are, I understand the work that goes into them, because in the back scenes, we do a lot of that stuff with our programmers on that end. But yeah, putting that all together, getting everybody on the same page, and also pushing it to the industry. I mean, we know the people, the right avenues to push it to, and who to kind of touch with those. And we went to 1 million trade shows just to push the market out. And we have other United Country offices that are doing the same at trade shows. Actually, Scott Lindsay just called me, wanted our booth that was at convention, the big black one, for one of their shows. So we're shipping it down to Mississippi for a show. That's kind of the portable kind of booth now, but kind of to answer your question on that, Burl, leading with this kind of history lesson to it, we're at right now, we're really pushing on social media, not just the listings and the sales, but our lifestyle, so our agents can relate to the people in the hunting industry. And this summer I think it's mid-June, and I can't remember the exact dates, the 11th through the 13th or 13th through the 15th, we're having our first annual training for UC hunting properties in Iowa. So we have the National Deer Association that is doing a class, and you'll receive a level 1 NDA deer stewardship designation when you leave there. There's 3 different three different levels to be the master. So we'll help people get to that. We'll have people from United Country, and Slade Priest is going to speak at it and kind of tell people how he does things in the hunting industry, how he markets. We'll have vendors there from showing off their products and how they can relate to our sellers, ourselves for setting up properties, and then just other marketing avenues that agents like yourselves can market to. This year, we were with them last year, but we signed a new deal with Midwest Whitetail. They have a lot of traction in the digital hunting space. They have some shows. They have weekly reels, weekly kind of how-to shows. So we have it set up where we have 18 total, and we offered 12, and I think we got 6 left, profiles that will be on one of their shows of United Country properties. So an agent can buy a spot, and then it gets professionally, the videography and of that property, and then it's showcased on the Midwest Whitetail. So a lot of cool exposure for our agents and our properties that are continuing to climb.
I used to have a guest ranch, and we did guided hunts and did all kinds of stuff, but we had partnered one year with, I think it's called the Turkey Federation. Oh,
yeah, National Turkey Federation.
Yeah. And so that actually, what they ended up doing is that they were doing the classes at our place, and then they were going to a public land to hunt. But they ended up, because they weren't having much success there at the public land, they ended up hunting on the ranch. And so that partnership ended up opening up all kinds of doors. And really, we started initially just offering it like the space for free. And they would come and, do and they were teaching people how to turkey hunt. It was really nice. And, but then it turned into those same group of people would want to book hunts with us. And so It's really nice. But that partnership was great. And in fact, I still follow their group through Facebook and in contact with them. But that kind of partnership seems like it works really well in those situations, because, you almost, like kind of what you're saying, you almost have to give away a little bit of stuff for free, maybe space or time or in a certain area. And then, but yet when they see the potential there, that really, it's amazing.
Right. It's the hunting industry. Everybody's kind of connected with somebody, and everybody kind of helps. There's money that changes hands, and for marketing, but a lot of it is, hey, if you do this, I will do it for my cost. If you can do this for me over there, and a lot of horse trading. Right now I have a project with the Wisconsin Waterfowl Association. And they have this couple huge projects they got coming up, and I've seen some of their other projects, but I don't know how they got there. And I'm like, you guys have to tell your story. So we have our, Chest Fight Media out of down south that we have a kind of a partnership with inside of our organization, and they do a lot of the stuff for UC Hunting Properties. We're actually doing a complete step-by-step documentation and interviewing with the people that are putting this big project together. And at the end, we will be able to show what the Wisconsin Waterfowl Association is doing for landowners and these properties to, keep waterfowl habitat in check. And those are things that I'm not asking them to pay for anything. I'm just asking them, to push my name out. And if anybody's looking for a piece of property, so it's kind of, I'm scratching their back with getting the film crew in and creating the storyline. And hopefully in return, that resonates into more listings and more clients.
Really,
what I love about that too is that, like, for example, and this is like, let's say you have a property for sale and the owner, we're selling it. They will come out and do things like plant, habitat. They will plant stuff like for duck hunting, for example, because we did a lot of duck hunting too.
Yep.
And so they will come out and for free plant it. And because, they want to make it's a more environmental friendly. It's, all these things. And so I was kind of amazed by the amount of things that they were that they can bring to the table as well.
What's going on there?
Oh, my camera had a fingerprint on it that it was driving me nuts.
We're sitting here talking about waterfalls, and I'm thinking we cannot relate to this at all.
What?
Waterfalls? We need to come visit. But this is your.
Well, it's waterfall, not fall.
Waterfowl, yeah.
What? I never say waterfalls.
Waterfall. I just talk a little different than you, Stacey.
You are saying
Burrow was with me. Burrow was right there with me.
Okay, so it's so clear I don't hunt.
We do have waterfalls, though. I mean, we do have waterfalls. So,
so you mentioned social media, obviously, website, trade shows. I'm curious because there's a reason behind me asking this question. I'm curious, do you think the billboards work in that situation, like on the highway, in those, that type of advertisement works?
You see that there's the other company that is.
I see it everywhere. I see it.
You know what I'm talking about. It's probably big in your area too. They do a ton of billboards.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have brick and mortar, and
we've done billboards. I got a couple of billboards right now. And one advice with billboards, the ones that work have the least amount of stuff on them. Because you got to remember, most of the people are going 55 to 70.
I think that's a great point.
Yeah.
It's you have to capture them, and they have to remember all in the same.
Right.
It's difficult, especially because not everybody needs a real, to sell their real estate or have an auction every week. Like, I'm going to say like a Culver's or a McDonald's billboard. I mean, they're trying to get people to go off on the exit. We're just trying to get exposure. So where's that exposure good? Where it relates to your marketing, because this, 7 to 13 or 20 touches, you ask a bunch of people, every marketer will give you a different number on the amount of touches before somebody does business. But you look at it, I mean, you're doing Facebook ads, Instagram ads, you're doing email blasts, stuff in your local papers or magazines, and you have those billboards, and they all kind of relate to each other, bro. You'll never really understand your ROI on a billboard.
That is so true. We feel that way about radio too. We've talked about that.
Yeah.
That brings to mind, to me, like everything that we're talking about is really dealing with attracting. It seems like, because when you're talking about trade shows and all these things, you're really talking about attracting the buyers. But to me, it seems like getting listings would be a little bit trickier, because I think about my area. In fact, Stacy and I drove by. We were going to look at one of her properties, which is like 160 acres. It's very rural. We were going to go look at it. We're on our way back, and I see the sign for another hunting property, and it's a very small sign sitting there. I'm sure they have it on their website. But I'm thinking about this situation, and I'm like, in our area, and I would think of most country rural areas are the same. Whereas, most people think about agriculture here first, whether that also be cattle. So you think agriculture, crops, cattle, and of course if you're buying land that has, like wheat on it, for example, then that land is going to be obviously more valuable than just pasture land. And so I'm looking at it. To me, I would see the struggle and trying to get, like, let's say a guy that owns 160 acres. It does have great hunting on it, but also he's primarily using it for cattle. And so he might be thinking that direction, like, hey, and I know that United Country does both, but I'm curious, like on the listing side of it, like the properties how you get those listings and, kind of what your criteria for that is.
So we do a lot of postcard mailers, but we do also a lot of kind of rifled mailers that go, some of my agents do 5 to 10 letters a day. They'll actually go in and find properties, like you're saying, Burl. It might look like a great cattle farm, but it's surrounded by timber. It's got a big chunk of government land that's a refuge that nobody can hunt and butting up to it, but it's been ran as a cattle farm. We'll send that and say, hey, do you want evaluation? We feel that the hunting land is more valuable than the pasture land on this. And we run into this in Kansas, which you probably do in Oklahoma a lot, is you'll have buyers that are cattle people that'll pay $1,800 an acre, but the deer hunter will pay $3,000 an acre. So relating that in your market space in those letters and also the postcards, are you missing the true value or the true and highest and best use of your property when you go to sell?
I like that.
Yeah,
that's good. That's a different take on it.
Do you think those letters, those mail, and I mean, Stacy has her opinion. I know she does because she does mail outs. But I'm curious, do you think that those mail outs are worth it? Do they work?
Well, I sent a mailer out 4 months ago, bro, and I got a call last week, and I got there and my postcard was sitting there. And that's why.
What do you think the return, if you had to put it in a percentage? Like you've heard the saying, like you have
2 to 4%.
Wow, that's pretty high. Because you've heard the saying, like you have to get 99 no's, you get 1 yes. Those kind of salespeople term and things. But I struggle with the value of it sometimes because I know what I do, which is go to the mailbox and trash. And I see me throwing away what looks very expensive mail outs. And so I wonder, honestly, does it work? And according to that, it works.
Well, and for months, I feel like that is so spot on. I always tell everyone, like when you do a big marketing blast or mail outs, it's usually a 3 to 4 month window before you see a return on those.
And where a lot of people, I shouldn't say fail, but they don't get their return per se, is they'll do a mailer in one area and never do another one.
Yeah. You need to add them to your sphere after you've done a mail out.
You got to keep on. It's even if you do it once a year, as long as people continue to have that you in front of them, it's when they go to sell, you have a higher probability of getting the phone call.
It was probably the end of last summer, our Altus office we're trying to generate more listings down there. And I had said to all of them, you've got to do out of state landowners, pushed it. Well, no one had done it. So then I was down there and I printed out all the out of state landowners and I divided them up. And I said, you take all that. Well, so this has been almost a year ago. Well, one of our realtors down there, Becky, was like, I got a call off one of those letters. And then she ended up selling it, got it and sold it off of a letter. And it took, almost a year, but off of one letter.
Yeah.
And it was a good commission for her.
So back to the class you were talking about. Tell me, is that for any agent in United Country to come to?
Anybody that's a member of UC Hunting Properties, it's that $500 a year per agent. So,
yeah.
So for someone new, that is new to United Country, we had Burl and then another Stacy Greb. They had gone to that class, and I think they never heard about it before. So as a benefit, explain it to someone that really doesn't know, how can it take your business to the next level? And
well, with just the brand itself gives the person the exposure that they know, kind of know the hunting industry and know the, hunting. A lot of people don't, that know what a scrape is, what a rub is, what, food plots and things like that. And we don't expect every agent in the world to know that. So we, engage into this training. We engage people in to look at ROI, just to learn different aspects of land. And once they start gaining those aspects and understand it, they can really promote the hunting property thing to the right crowd. Right. It's diving in. It's not just, here's the keys to the bus. You have to drive it now. You actually have to dive in and understand the language, because if I put a write-up of somebody that do nothing about hunting versus hunting, that'll look like two different properties. And actually I did this once as kind of a on Facebook. I did a write-up and didn't talk anything about hunting, didn't have any hunting pictures in it, and launched it, and it did okay. I talked all about hunting, had deer pictures as the first pictures and not the house, and the post went viral.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
so understanding what you have for a property is number one.
Yeah.
Because it might be just 100% pasture and there'll never be a deer that wants to go in there. So it's a lot harder to just jump in and put it on a website and ask a couple questions. You almost have to research and start living that lifestyle to really dive into it deeper. It's no different than kind of what you do with your residential and commercial stuff, Stacy. That's the that's kind of the direction you've headed with everything. No different than people dealing with minerals. It's and that's why I like about United Country, because you can pick your specialty and run with it. So
it comes to mind while you're saying that. It's like, man, I think it'd be great. You have a hunting property that you have listed, and man, I'm telling you, this absolutely would work. Is like you have somebody that wants to go look at it, jump on horseback and literally go look. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of people would use side by sides or whatever. Yep. But the point is that if you actually, I kind of had this issue whenever back to that example of us going to look at this 160 acres. Like I wanted to get on the property and literally go through it, and in a lot of those properties, they don't have great access by vehicle. And so, man, getting out and actually looking at what you're talking about, mm-hmm. It's like seeing deer tracks, seeing
Yeah.
Turkey, like here, we have some of the best turkey hunting in the nation right here.
Yep.
And I think that you actually getting out and seeing it, I think people love that.
Yeah, because people will ask you, what did you see on the property when you were out there? And these agents that take the picture from the road as they're driving by have a problem answering that question. And if they can't answer that question, that buyer is going to somebody that can.
Yeah.
I see that a lot. I can see because when you're dealing with basically normally residential, normally homes, and you're trying to market this property, land, I think that I see it a lot where what the pictures reflect this, the description reflect this. It may give you directions about where to go look at this land. But really, most people who are interested in that kind of property want to get out on it and want to look and want to, they want to see, is there a creek that runs through it? Is there, is there a water source? They want to see it,
It's, we set up a lot of properties and stage them just like we would a home.
Well,
You touched on it, Burl. Access sometimes sucks. You can't get off the road with a let alone a horse or a bicycle because it's so grown up or the terrain is messed up. We have the equipment that if we have the opportunity and the seller's willing to work with us with doing it, we'll go in and make the access so when we do get the buyers out there, it doesn't look like a maintenance nightmare and non-accessible.
No.
And you
So
take
that's a
it to a
strength
whole
to
nother
that.
level.
You can't. I think you can't have to if you really,
You have to. Yeah.
I see that a lot because what I would envision, I know this is not true, but I think that what I would envision in our area, for example, is that a hunting property would be no fence, and because I would think fence, cattle, like no barbed wire fence, but yet I would also think very very rough. It's hard to get in there. Those kind of, I know that's not true, but I think a lot of people think that way. They think that, okay, this property would be more of a hunting property because it's wooded or, because we don't have tons of trees here either.
No.
So,
it's kind of like that. I had just had like 4 different parcels of 160 acres that had sat in the family. It had been in the family for 100 years. Well, they hadn't touched it in, what did they say, like 60 years.
yeah.
And the only way that we could get through it was the lease road.
Yeah.
Which that's a very positive thing. I'd say most properties here
Do have lease roads. Yeah.
Oil field that have built lease road here.
Yeah.
And so I think that's definitely a positive. Plus, like I think about extra money when I see that. I was like, man, is there excess rights? Is there money there?
Yeah.
It's no different than if we're looking at a commercial building. What's the highest and best use for that commercial building?
Yeah.
What type of property? What type of business could go in there?
Yeah.
We look at land, same way. Is it a better egg farm? Is it a better, cattle farm or hunting farm? And the cool thing about the hunting farms is you can get the other two with it and get some income off of it.
Stacy knows this because we like to look at investment property. We like to, of course, deal with property when it comes to buying stuff. But I love multi-use properties. That's kind of been my thing. Like if we buy a building, I want to be able to use it in multiple ways. And I think about that a lot. And I think about land. We're looking at buying some land. And it's like, that's the big deal to me is multi-use. It's like, how many ways could we use this? You take the ultimate multi-use and you're like, oh, you have the mineral rights. You have some access rights. You can hunt. You can put some cattle on there.
Yeah.
And I think that those sometimes are missed when we market it to really look at the multi-use. You can even expand it. Windmills here are a big deal. So windmill, that part of it. And I love those, those multiple use properties.
And sometimes sellers don't like you talking about any use other than the way they're using it.
Yeah, that's true.
I had this property, it's probably been 5-6 years ago now. It was in an area that was probably, I would say, up in the top in Wisconsin for the areas where big deer are shot.
Mm-hmm.
And these people are anti-hunters.
Wow.
They can do whatever they want to. And it sat there for a while because they wanted me to market it as a kind of recreational place for people to hike, and it had a runway on it and they could do their plane stuff. And one day the lady said, "What can I do for you to sell this thing?" I said, "You have to let me it was in the contract. I could not market it as a hunting property."
Let me do my job.
5 days after we started marketing it with a hunting property, we had an accepted offer.
Wow. Wow.
My God.
It's so true about that. I think of people like this is their family farm.
Yeah.
Which even farmers know, they not all want to admit it, but like farming and cattle have a tendency to not be very financially, viable.
Yeah.
And it's just the facts, it's the facts of the way it is. But yet, if that's been in their family for 50 years, 60 years, or whatever, how many ever generations, they are going to have a hard time seeing it. Because I don't know why some may go to the extreme of being like, "Oh, I see a development here with condos." Yeah, I don't know, but that's kind of what they.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and way back to earlier, Stacy, you asked, what would you tell a new agent? Be truthful with the people.
Wow.
Don't do what the seller wants, because if the seller tells you how to do everything and the way they want it, what the heck do they need us for?
Yeah, I agree with that. Unfortunately, I know I've lost listings for being truthful. This will not sell for X amount of dollars, and this is really what you need to do. But then there's times where it's been listed with someone else for a year and then they come back to me. So But I'd rather be truthful and honest up front.
Because what happens is, if you're not truthful and not honest up front, that conversation that you could have had up front, you're going to have eventually.
Yeah.
And if it happens 2 or 3 months into the listing and all the neighbor properties are selling, but this one isn't, there's going to be tension in the air.
Oh, yeah. And then they're going to be talking poorly about you. And we don't.
It's not good for business to just do it and not be truthful with the seller. I know it's hard, and I know it's very hard for a new agent, because that's potential commission. That's how I feed my family, and I don't want to miss that. And that's the biggest thing, is taking things just because, the fear of missing out, FOMO disease.
I would say right now, what our biggest thing we're dealing with is people wanting lower commission.
Mm-hmm.
Peyton and I are like, no, we're not going to do it unless you want it to come out on your side.
Yeah.
You can come out on your side. But we had a situation where someone wanted to list their property at 3. No, not 3.
But there's, we just put an offer in on one that it was listed at, the whole listing contract, it's at 3.9%. The other company has it at, and they're paying 2%. But if you look at the way they're presenting it, I don't even think the seller's getting 3.9% worth of value.
Right.
Because we had to get all the information to get to our buyer, because they didn't have any of it.
Get what you pay for. That goes. That is.
Well, and in this situation, it had been on the market with another office since 2020, and I think they did that listing at 4%. Well, then they want to come to us for 3%, and we're already at a disadvantage where you had it overpriced for 3 years, and you want us to do it for less. No,
we're not trying to, curb commissions or anything, but at the end of the day, we
Yeah.
all can do our own business. If somebody wants to do it for 2%, you got to look at what you're getting. Because sometimes I tell people, I said, if we're down to a 1% deal and it's a $200,000, let's say, property, they're going to go for a potentially lose more than $2,000.
Yeah.
It's commissions gets in the way of making money for sellers, and sometimes, in my opinion, because they look at that number and it's such a small number compared to the whole transaction.
Yeah.
And but no, it's what people are doing things for, that's their prerogative, but I know, and what you'll do it for.
Right.
And what the value will show. I mean, if the only value you have is to lower your commissions, it's going to be a tough life in the real estate business.
It really is.
Even if you have lower commissions, still provide value. It's don't just do it to get the listing and hope the MLS sells it, and put it on all the websites. Build your digital footprint. I don't care if it's going to sell in one day. It's I've had properties, I've had the listing contract, put it online and sold it in an hour, but it went on every single website, and then you get a million phone calls, and then people are asking why it's sold already and why. It's so agents just need to run their business and don't take shortcuts.
That's good.
Great point.
That's good.
Well, Travis, if people want to get a hold of you, or they want to reach out to you, they want to know more about you and what's going on with you, how do they go about that?
Call Pam. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
You can go to our website at midwestlifestyleproperties.com. You can give me a call at 608-697-3349, or Travis at HomleyAuctions.com is my email. We do auctions and real estate in 5 states right now. So we're licensed to do auctions and real estate in all of them. So if you have any referrals or need anything, we're around to help people through. And if there's other United Country offices listening to this, or anybody in your office, I do pick up the phone a lot now that Stacy has reprimanded me to, pick the phone up. Yeah. And because it's when I got into this business, into United Country, I felt like I was in a pool and I was a little tadpole and I didn't know what the heck was going on. And there was a lot of people in United Country that helped push me along and helped give me the ideas that I could kind of piggyback on. And it's kind of my pay it forward type thing. And we're all family. So we're not in competition with each other in my mind, but.
Yeah, that's
Travis,
well said. Yeah.
I sure appreciate it, man.
Thank
It's
you
good.
so
Yeah,
much.
no, I appreciate it. I'm glad we could hook up, and I'm going to go plant some CRP grass now. So
You've got a wealth of knowledge, and I encourage anybody that is interested in any of those things and or referrals, those things, to reach out to you. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Travis.
likewise, have a good day. Take care.